Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Aitchison College. We're delighted to have you at our first talk of our new series, Voices of Insight by the Teaching and Learning Center. Today's talk is titled Multi-Faith Roots of Aitchison College. Before we begin, I'd like to request everyone to kindly rise for the national anthem. By the Teaching and Learning Center, where we invite people with experience and knowledge to share their wisdom and insights with us as Aitchison strives to become a professional learning community where educators are empowered and put students at the heart of everything that we do. And also, I'm very happy to announce that the Teaching and Learning Center is celebrating its first anniversary with the launch of this talk series. I would like to invite our director, Ms. Tina Hamid, to say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. My dear principal, Bursar, heads of schools, Dr. TARUNJIT BUTALIA, Dr. YAQOOB Bangash, and honorable guests, welcome to this evening. What a pleasure to have you all here. Like Zain has said, we celebrate today the first anniversary of the Teaching and Learning Center. And this, our first talking series, is now going to be a regular feature of Aitchison. We are moving towards developing a professional learning community, and since we've been born a year ago, we have worked very hard and successfully to complete all our milestones in our first year. The professional reading circles, the Observe to Grow program, the summer school for teachers, the PDQ mentors, the training conference, and several other training initiatives, as well as working for the campus girls' schools, are all under our belt now. But the most exciting news is that Aitchison is now an accredited Cambridge Professional Development Center. This means that the headmistresses, junior school, senior school, prep school, and myself are now going to teach professional development courses to teachers within Aitchison. We've already begun, and next year we'll open these courses to teachers from other schools as well. We are also in the process of negotiating partnerships and collaborations with prestigious national and international organizations. We believe that we cannot have learning students unless we have learning teachers. I take this opportunity to thank the principal, Bursar, and the heads of school for their continued support for the Teaching and Learning Center. I look forward to enlightening talk and a delicious tea.
Thank you, Madam. Our talk today will explore the college's lesser-known multi-faith history spanning over 140 years. It will highlight key moments and markers that shaped its diverse heritage. And since we're talking about history, I would like to bring to your attention this beautiful hall that we're all sitting in, which is now known as the Old Building. As you can see, there are classrooms around the hall. This was the main building of the initial campus of Aitchison College. I will leave the rest to our two speakers. Our first speaker is Dr. TARUNJIT SINGH BUTALIA. He is an honorary envoy at Aitchison College. His father, grandfather and great-grandfather studied here. He works to connect Aitchison with Sikh and Hindu boys who attended college till 1947 and their families. He is also a faculty member in the Ohio State University in the Civil Engineering Department. And Dr. Butalia is an experienced interfaith leader with over 2 decades of service, which includes leadership in major organizations. Not to forget, Minhaj University recently gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award for his contributions. Our second speaker, Dr. YAQOOB Bangash, is a historian of modern South Asia and has published on the princely states, partition, legal history of the Punjab and the early years of Pakistan. He is the founder of the Afghani Think Fest, an academic literary festival in Lahore, and is presently Dean of Humanities and Social Sciences, IT University, Lahore. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us today. I will now invite Dr. Butalia for a short presentation.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone. Good evening. I know many of us are having chai time, right? So just that Dr. Bangash and me are in the way of that. If somebody could turn on the presentation, I would appreciate that. Thank you. If we could go on to view mode and also show up on the other. As the audio visual is getting squared away, this is a place that it has great memories for many of you here and others for whom this place is scary. So as they're setting it up, we play a little game. Everyone who attended, and I apologize, this game is a little patriarchal, but with those apologies in place, everyone who attended the college, kindly stand up. Who attended Aitchison College. Loon Saab needs to stand up. I know you are humble, but you attended Aitchison, right? So please stand up. Anybody who attended Aitchison, stand up right now. Now, if any of you had your father also attended Aitchison, keep standing. The rest of you, sit down. Okay. So these are folks who themselves attended. Yes, go on around and stand, please. Your father attended, right? So please stand up. Okay. Now, those of you whose grandfather also attended this institute, keep standing and others sit down. Okay. Now, let's go one generation behind. Great-great-grandfather who also attended Aitchison, keep standing and others sit down. Okay. Now we go 5 generations back. No, so you can sit down. Okay, that's okay. Who had 5 generations back attended the college? Thank you. Please take a seat. You can see what a rich history that this place has. Friends, I don't think I will use the slides that are here, but if these could be turned a little towards me, what I'll do, if I can have them just turned around, tell you what, I'm going to bring my, since the other one's not working, I'm going to come right here and speak from there. One of the things that teachers have to do, is, can you hear me all right? Yes. One of the things teachers have to do is entertain. Meena ma'am, you're well aware of that. Good teachers know how to tell stories. And today, I will be telling a story. What I'm talking about is the multi-faith roots of this college from the very inception that it began. And of course, I now be able to walk around, so that's exactly what I will do. So I get a chance to come and see each of you up close, but what I'm really trying to do is see the screens. I've already done my game time, so we've had that already in play. Here is the list of 12 students who came from the Ambala War College, and here is a list of 12 of them who came here in 1885. And you will see that about 8 of them are Sikh and about 4 or 5 are Muslim. The college from its very inception had a mix of faith in terms of students. Now obviously you're wondering, this building was dedicated in 1886. So where did these boys go to college? On Abbott Road campus, and I show that to you. It's here on the right hand side. You see this picture here. It is hanging in my office. This is where the boys attended in 1885. That picture. Now the question also becomes, what about the teachers in 1885? And you see here now a list of 8 teachers when the college began in 1885, and you have a mix of Christian, Muslim, and Hindu teachers. Multi-faith from day one when the college was established. Here is a wonderful map that was approved on September 16, 1886 by the college. Before the dedication, this is where we are today. These are 2 main houses. You can see that the principal house is not being planned as yet, which came later. So this was before the dedication ceremony in September. And then, on November the 3rd, the college founding ceremony was held. And this picture shows all the Rajas and Maharajas, right, of the college, who were at the dedication ceremony on November the 3rd. And the college plans to celebrate 140th anniversary on Founders Day in middle of February of next year. What fascinating history. Let's talk about the people who funded this place. Here from the day the college was dedicated, there was a souvenir that was issued, and in that it had a list of all the major donors. And what's interesting is, this list includes all different groups, and on that wall you will see the same names in the same order that you see on that list in English, and from top to bottom in Urdu. So this is a place not of past history. It is a place of living history. We live with it and we engage with it. You'll see on this side is the British logo of Punjab. You see the 5 rivers, which are the 5 rivers of Punjab, with the sun rising over the rivers. This was the logo of Punjab for the British Empire. And we have the college logo here on the other side. And then at the top, we have the logos of all the states that helped fund the college. So it takes some time. I have shown them up here. You see all of them. There's some ones I can read are Patiala. I can read Malerkotla, Khairpur, Jind, Mandi, Naba, Delhi Garhwal, Suket. All these and many more help establish the funds for this college, and they are still being recognized after 140 years. The best investment they would have ever made is in education, and that is why they are still remembered today. This is the oldest photo of boys of the Aitchison College taken on the college campus. It is on the balcony on the other side where we will have tea. This is the college football team of 1890, and many of you will see obviously the roll numbers. Roll number 1 from the Patoli family, you can see here, as well as roll number 5 is also there. And then we have Balwant Singh, roll number 54. We also have the headmaster. One of the first headmaster was Kirti Singh. He's on the left side here sitting. And so you have the captain. Boys here had to engage with each other when they were on campus. Now, this was a time in which the Hindu and the Sikh boys lived together in particular dorms, and the Muslim boys lived separately. So this institute, right from the very founding, was multi-faith. It still took some time for it to become interfaith, and that's the direction I'm going in next. This is the Sim Challenge Field Cup in 1900s, and again a representative of the diversity that this college had. And most of the times, the way to make a distinction between the Sikh and the Muslim boys is the type of turban and how they wore it. This is the oldest hockey team. It is currently in the hockey arena, and you see the principal at that time, Leslie Jones, and the future principal, Kelly, who are also seated here. Now if you want to look at the college honors, you just have to walk this room. Look at behind me. This is the Godly Medal that began from 1905. This list comes up to 1978 and continues. Similarly, all around, all the major sports and academic medals are in this room. Again, like I said, up to the current ones, this is living history. This is not a place or a museum. It's much more than a museum. It preserves memories. It preserves those who have come and gone, those who were here at one time and have never come back after the partition. So we will get there also. Teachers. One of the things that I find interesting is that most institutions will lift up the principals, lift up the teachers that are lifted up, but that we have an institution where we lift up teachers also. This is the Lounge of Excellence, in which teachers with more than 30 and 20 years service, if you look up to 1947, you will see the multi-faith diversity of teachers that are recognized. Many of the Sikh and Hindu teachers who were here in 1947 at partition went to Yadvindra Public School. I recently got a message from a gentleman whose father was the bursar here in 1947. He knew exactly where his house was. He told me, go here to the right hand side of houses. And his father went from here as the bursar to Mayo College Ajmer as the bursar. Very great rich history and connections. Of course, many of you see the Gurdwara Mandir and the mosque on campus. This is when I think the campus changed its character. Now what we find is that the campus is changing from being multi-faith to interfaith. What do I mean by that? Now there's a presence of places of worship which are significantly different from each other for the boys to be able to go. But the real credit, I think, goes to Principal Leslie Jones. In 1912, he began the policy of integration of the houses. The boys, Muslim boys, could not live separately from the Hindu and Sikh boys. They had to live together in dorms. And that was exciting, yet very tense. But this policy became mainstream during chemistry. But the main people who contributed to this policy, yes, was the principal. But the senior leadership, especially the housemasters, were the ones who really had to work on integrating the boys. That's why I say it was around 1910 to 12 when the college, aside from being multi-faith, stepped up and became interfaiths. The boys lived together. Yes, they had mess houses, but separate because they had different eating protocols. But they lived together every morning. Can you imagine? Amazing. I want to quickly summarize as I get towards the end of my presentation. From 1886 to 1947, there were a total of 1,500 boys that attended the college. And of them, you'll see about 46% were Sikh, 41% were Muslim, 7% were Hindu, and 6% Christian. The earthquake that struck much of South Asia, including the college, was the partition. And the college lost, as you can see, about 53% of its students overnight. One of them included my father. What happened with that was that the college now lost its multi-faith heritage and interfaith heritage, and it immediately overnight became what I call a one-faith institution. However, this is what we need to remember. Since the partition up till now, the college archives has always been a dedicated multi-faith institution that has preserved all these memories. They have not gone anywhere. These names are still here. Absolutely amazing. Since that time, there have been sport exchanges, and I think Yaman, you've been to Patiala, YAQOOB Patiala, on more than once occasion, right? Be able to do that. These were what I call the good old days. These days will come again. Probably not during my and my children's lifetime, but during their grandchildren's lifetime. We can't keep fighting with each other. How long will we do that? Europe has done that and has seen that is not a path forward. And some of you may recognize some of the boys that are shown here. I know that this is Principal Sao, I think your father. Here on this side, many others. Goa pictures, Ayosa pictures, which is the one in India. And a lot of exchanges that kept happening. And this is my last slide I'll close with. Let's talk about the boys who were here in 1947 who are still here. Currently in India, they are about 15. And occasionally once in a while, Tarab Sahib and he will get a message saying, oh, my father also studied there. So we are always look forward to those messages. And our best ever right now is about 20 currently in Pakistan. The ones in India, I have been able to interview about 11 of them in India because we want to preserve their memories for the archives. Little things. One boy says, "Sadi teacher si, wo sadi gal phad ke putti hunti si." That's what he remembers. Okay, that's the little things. Other boys remember the Gurdwara. The houses obviously is the big thing that everyone remembers. And currently, an effort is in place by the archives and others to interview the 20 boys who are living in Pakistan. If any of you know of a living boy who attended in 1947, Iman Mir is here during the break time, do let him know so he can compile that together. All the 50 living boys in India have now been invited by the college very graciously to come and attend the 140th anniversary celebrations that are coming up next year, February, on Founding Day. And many of them have agreed to come and be here and to celebrate with all of you, despite all the tensions that are happening back and forth. The last comment, friends, I want to make, I'm going to do from the podium, is just a personal acknowledgement. One of the boys I interviewed said that I bought a bicycle 1 week before the partition. Do you think it is still there? Maybe it is still there. There are others who remember that we used to, from the old building, we used to run towards a fruit shop, but the fruit shop is still there. Others, older ones, remember the dispensary that Balwant Singh Bey made the other end. And great memories, but many of them have not had a chance to come back here. But if you listen carefully, those voices are still here. They may not be here, but their memories are here. From my own family, 19 boys attended this college till 1947. There are other families, Manawala family in 32. So there are many families in India who have so many boys, but they've lost connection with the college. So part of what I do as the honorary envoy is connect those who have an area code of +91 with the college, because for them to talk to anybody in Pakistan right now is very, very challenging. And so those relationships are being deepened together. And what they're also finding is they lost connection with each other. So they have to engage with Aitchison College to figure out that, oh, my dad or grandfather also went and our grandparents were friends together. A web that we create a friendship and love. Friends, the last thing I want to say is a point of personal privilege. My grandparents in 1947 were given refuge here in Lahore by a family. And I worked hard to find that family. It was Bashir Ahmed Bir. He was not an alumni of Aitchison College, unlike my grandfather, but had enduring friendship. They stayed with them for about 3 months. And I'm proud to share with you that Bashir Ahmed Bir's grandson is a graduate of Aitchison College, Yawa Bashir Bir, who's with us today. Please stand up. His son, Musavir, is currently also at the college, although he's traveling around, right? So here is another family. If his grandfather had not given refuge to my grandparents, I would not be here today. We are all here to pay forward. And that, I think, is what every institution does. This has a very rich heritage, but yet at the same time, it looks forward to serving society. And my last message here is for the boys who are with us here today. Each of you, including my ancestors, had privilege when they came here. You have a privilege. Use that privilege to lift up others. Yes, you can use that privilege to lift up yourself, but the real service that you have is when you lift up others because of the privilege that you have. Thank you, and looking forward to engaging with Dr. Bangash.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Butalia, for this, wonderful trip down memory lane. And I think after this, there are not many things to ask, but to kind of wonder what could have been and what can be. But let me just begin by sort of saying that it's very good that you began with the College of Awards picture. Because it reminds me that a few years ago when Michael was still the principal, he had this intention of redating the college. So I was on my way to London, and he said, can you dig up about the Court Awards and find out who these people were, what they were up to. So I said, fine. So I went there, spent a couple of hours in the British Library. And the Court Awards was established at Ambala in 1868. And literally that Court of Awards was moved here. So one argument that Michael presented was that it should be 1868 rather than the later one. But then a board member said, well, we'll just disturb all the counting we have had. But I think that's still, that article that I wrote about that, explaining it, is still on the college website somewhere, detailing the prehistory of the college. And that, I think, is a very important one, and I do want to begin from that. The idea of the Court Awards was very interesting. And also, if people don't know here about the Court Awards, it's basically the government had instituted a system through which if big landlords or princes, they did have guardians, that small kids, but no guardians. The government will appoint a court of ward there who will take care of these wards and take care of their, just raise them practically. And one very interesting thing about this was, and this was, imagine it's 1868 Punjab, and what they're actually doing is they're educating these rich people. And that's where I really want to begin and ask you to give a reflection on. At a time where the idea was कि हम रईस हैं, again, if you remember the 1857 Muslim Ashrafia kind of concept, it was, we are rich, why do we need to get education, go to school? And here was this Court of Award where they actually had school every single day, right? They had to go horse riding, they had to get up early in the morning, wash themselves, do all those kinds of things. So for me it's very interesting, and Dr. Butalia, if you could comment on this, is Aitchison kind of, for these people, the beginning of modernity? Is this sort of the, is Aitchison kind of one of the hallmarks of actually, the ushering in of modern type of education? Especially, of course, it is an elite college. It is even, well, it's a lot more mixed now, but at that time, of course, it was fully elite. But how do you kind of see this, these elites being practically forced to go to education, and for that, changing their worldview?
I remember reading the 1901 Old Student Register, in which, if I remember
J.C. Godley.
Godley, exactly. Godley writes in there, and we both have history because we read it very carefully. Godley writes that the original intent was to make this like a public institution for boys to study in England. That was the original intent. But the challenge they ran into is that would not work here. Because they wanted the sons of elites to come here, that model had to be tinkered with, so to speak. I keep away from the word modernity. It assumes that we people of South Asia and anybody who's not white is not modern. I think it was a colonial experiment. The boys who came here, by the time they grew up, were already positively obliged then to the British government. Let us not sugarcoat it. That was the reason the British wanted this college, but the advantage that you had on the other hand is the boys who came here were very, very successful and got the best positions that they could get. So I think it was a colonial experiment. We talk about decolonization, but that doesn't mean that the level of education and the accomplishments the boys did has to be diminished in whatever way that is possible. And the college has done, I think, an amazing job now of decolonizing in terms of bringing in boys from all across Pakistan to be able to come. I think a lot of boys I meet are either at my table at Godley House. There's one boy from Sindh, two from KPK, and one from Punjab. So I think the college went through, this was a way of receiving top class education. And the chiefs did that, plus you as a historian you know, till 1905, the chiefs would not send their boys here. Ultimately, Maharaja Patiala sent his son, and everyone in line came after that. But before that, the college had enough time. So there was a time at which the college was even going to shut down, if you mind.
Yeah, for sure. But it worked out. You know, when you mentioned this, it again reminded me, so earlier on, in up to 1947, there were all these college reports. Every year the college used to take out these reports. And in the early days, they used to send all the reports also, the short version used to be published in the Government of Punjab proceedings. So I was reading that, and one of the big complaints was that actually, again, you know, as you said, that you had sort of rich landlords and their kids, like who were wards, they were here because they were under the government. But the princes won't send their kids because they were like, why do we need to do that? And when they actually came, there are all these funny kahanis about, you know, them refusing to wake up in the morning, them saying, I am not going to sit at this. And one person from, you know, I won't say who, but someone from southern Punjab turned up with a few guns. And wanted to be adjusted with that, and the principal had to kind of, you know, play this very interesting game because he had 6 retainers and everything. So it's very interesting because, you know, and again the idea of boarding school, you know, you were talking about, you know, getting the British public school experience. That's why boarding was so important, because they wanted to, as much as they could, try to bring at least internal equality in it.
They didn't make an exception. For example, the Patiala boys did not stay on campus. That was the deal that was struck with them, because they did not want their boys to be even with the Punjab chiefs since they were princes. So they stayed at Patiala House. Their Faridkot stayed at Faridkot. At the Mandi House, which is still there, all the Mandi boys and Suket and others stayed there. So Bahawalpur boys stayed at the Bahawalpur House. So that was the deal that was cut. And then the ruling class came, the princes followed.
Yeah. Let me actually move towards the princes, and considering, of course, I've worked on them also. You were talking about, you know, them, you know, all of them are, their crests are up there. What do you think Aitchison kind of, you know, the foundation of Aitchison and continued support till 1947 of the princes shows? Because one of the things that people think when they think of princely India is, oh, these were all these decadent princes, they weren't really interested in anything good, and they just spent money on themselves, didn't do anything. But here you have a living example where they actually spent money on something which is really good and still works. So how do you think the college can reshape the way we think about at least Punjabi princes who supported the college?
I happen to be from one of those families, so I can say they were decadent. But they also made their money towards good causes such as the college. For example, Maharaja Patiala, for the original college establishment, about 2.5 lakh rupees that this that I showed you at the bottom quote was that Maharaja Patiala himself gave 50,000. So this was a way that they contributed money towards the education and the founding of an institute that will go on for a long time. In terms of their contributions continued, for example, the swimming pool that you have here, is still called the Rani of Mandi swimming pool. Yes? We have the dispensary by Balwant Singh Dev, we have the Gurdwara by Maharaja Patiala, we have so many of these. You will see the Albert Watson, the Albert Gold Cup there. So many of these were established by all Muslim, Sikh, Hindu and other families who were here. So they really invested in here, and that continued till 1947. Of course, after that time, some of the awards were taken to YPS Patiala. Others were discontinued, but most of the awards that were established here from Sikh and Muslim families still are given out today. And so that's what's fascinating. And many of you who are here, I think, have received those awards since you are current and former students.
No, true. And this again leads to the next thing that I wanted you to highlight. Some of us, of course, know this, but for the benefit of those people who aren't from Aitchison. Aitchison was, of course, not just the only college. Different areas had these kind of chiefs colleges. So there was Mayo College in Ajmer and several others, one in Indore and elsewhere. But you know, you had then a college set up in Patiala. So if you could speak about sort of the East Punjab, so to speak, legacy of Aitchison, where in fact it lives, right? So if you could speak about the Galendra College and that connection.
During the partition, all the boys had to leave overnight. I remember that my father told me that when the college summer break happened, let me backtrack for a second. I had included 11 of the living boys, and I asked them, were there tensions on the college that you experienced in 1947? Now, let's go back to 1947. It was a very hot summer. So the boys had to sleep outside with mosquito nets. About a couple of weeks before the partition actually happened, two boys told me that while they were sleeping outside, they heard some noises in the city. At that point, the college decided the boys could not sleep outside, so they had to sleep inside. They were given a servant and a fan, but so they could be kept away. Nearly all of them thought that we are simply going away and we are coming back. The college did a very smart thing. It sent all the Muslim boys, whether from whichever side, to their parents or their guardians who lived on this side of the border. And the Sikh and Hindu boys, my father was sent to his grand uncle in India. So the boys did not experience the partition. One of the boys, I remember, he was, I'm not going to share because I don't have his permission to share. His father sent an aircraft for him, and his sister used to study at Queensberry College to pick them up. And he says, I remember while we were going in the Jeep, I saw a couple of people being killed. So yes, the boys were exposed to that. Now, they have gotten to the other side. Maharaja Patiala was very kind, that in Patiala he had a sports stadium. And he decided that for the sports stadium, he was going to convert that into a school for any or all boys who were here. And that school began on February 2nd, 1948. So their next year on February 2nd, when they are having their Founders Day celebration, they will also be celebrating 140 years of Aitchison by inviting all the 50 living boys that I talked about. Sayyid Babar Ali is the poster child hero of the pre-1947 year. On the other side is Colonel Harinder Adani, and he has committed in his wife. He came in 1986. He also is going to be coming in next February here to Lahore. Hopefully he get a visa, and many others will come. Now YPS, here the principal is Taniram Kapila. Guess what? He was hired as the principal at YPS. So every single staff member who was here, the person who was here found a job at Mayo College. So nearly everyone, Vijender Singh example, the hockey coach, he also found a job. So YPS Patiala was the one who accommodated him, but many of the boys chose not to go to YPS Patiala because they had Banyanis. So many went to Doon School, a few went to Mayo College from here, and some went to Bishop Garden. So Sanar took a few, but YPS clearly is way ahead, And very interestingly, YPS named its alumni association as AYOSA, Aitchison Yadavindra Old Student Association. So they still are joined at the hip. If I remember, Harinder Secretary who is coming was the first graduate of YPS Patiala, but he attended here till 1947. So the two institutes joined at the hip. I have made some efforts to put together. Are there some folks, Akoba, who are here, please? If you are, could you kindly stand up? The College Alumni Association, I know there are some. There we go, thank you. I put them in touch with AYOSA so they can cross-pollinate. So welcome.
No, great, and I did want to point that out because if you look at educational institutions especially, there was a continued connection between East and West Punjab afterwards. I was working on this a few years ago to actually see what kind of institutions were actually formed in Lahore and where did they go. And it's quite interesting that a lot of them retain the original names. So there was a college here, there was a women college here, for example, called Fateh Chand College for Women. Now it's gone to East Punjab and its name there is Fateh Chand College for Women Lahore, Sirsa it is. So it still has the word Lahore in it. Like you have the Khalsa College that went from Raipur, it is still called Khalsa College Raipur, and then it says in Jalandhar, So a lot of these institutions went in, and the most fascinating one, which I find really fascinating is that, and it's the same thing like with Aitchison, everyone who left here from the Punjab University went to India, went to East Punjab, went to Ambala and established a Punjab University there. And the discussion in the establishment of the university was really fascinating because they said, should we say that this was formed in 1947? And they said, no, established at Lahore at 1882. Right. So if you look at the Punjab University, which is now in Chandigarh in India, if you look at its website, it says 1882 because all the people from here, like the Dean of Education here, became the first Vice Chancellor there, all the students and the faculty and everything. So in a way, when people move that, as you were very rightly saying, they're joined at the hip. So many institutions in East Punjab are really kind of joined at the hip, and they still harken back to their connections to Lahore and other parts of the Punjab.
There's one other institution that was joined at the hip with this college when it was established. That I think is underappreciated, Queensberry College. These boys who came from the Ward College, they lived on Abbott Road. Where is Abbott Road? Right next to Queensberry. So while this building was being constructed in this campus, which became ready in 1887, all the education the boys happened. Even beyond that, till about the 1920s or 30s, young boys were admitted to Aitchison College, but they studied co-ed at Queensberry College. And once they became a little grown up, they became too naughty to study with girls, they were then brought to this college, but they were admitted to Aitchison College. So I think more work needs to be unearthed on the history of the relationship between Queensberry College, and I have some pictures. See, what's nice about, I'm connected with 250 families whose boys went here. One photo I kept is of Aitchison boys at Queensberry College. So that is something that I think more discovery needs to happen on the connections, including the boys who graduated from here, primarily went to Government College Lahore, or they would go to FC College. So that's another part to be able to discover and note.
But let me sort of go back to the East Punjab side. At the moment things are really bad between India and Pakistan. How do you see the role of East, so one of the things that I always think about it is that does peace between India and Pakistan come through East and West Punjab? What do you think of that?
Well, it has to, because people from either side of Punjab have a common language, they have a common culture, they have a history of living together peacefully, unlike the last 75 years. If Punjabis who have so much in common cannot make peace, how will Sindhis and people of KPK make peace with people from Madras, let's say? If we Punjabis fail in making peace, India and Pakistan will never be able to make peace. Our concern, my concern as much, is I have a concern that I think goes deeper. I have been to Pakistan 2019 and I find that Pakistanis love Indian people. Principal adore Indian people. They may not like the Indian government. Pakistani people are very smart enough to make a distinction between the Indian government and the Indian people. A lot of the Sikh boys whose families are there are very enthusiastic about the college. They have come back to Lahore, they are saying, "Acha, मैं एक photo which love, एक कैडी family से Lahore की जगह से रात रहे सी, and we want to come back and stay with them." And all of that. Thank you.
True, it kind of reminded me when you were talking about it, that the first time I went to India in 2004, at that time there used to be this bus between Lahore and Delhi. So I boarded the bus with my mother, and in between you get lunch at the Satluj River, and there is this floating restaurant kind of thing. And when we finished lunch, they said, "Can you sign our register about what you think of the restaurant and the food and everything?" And the person there was asking where people are from. So someone said, "I'm from Islamabad," someone was visiting relatives from Karachi, that would be the term. And when it came to me, I said, "I'm from Lahore." And he said, "Oh, okay, telling airline." I was like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "No, this is for international guests. You sign the local." And for me, it was very interesting, in the job being treated like that. But that also reminds me of this very other very interesting incident. I used to teach at FC College, and I used to take students to India quite often. And we go to Chandigarh, to Punjabi University, Patiala, to Guru Nanak University, Amritsar, and everything. And we made four, 5 trips like that. And it was all fine, and the students loved it. Once we went beyond to Aligarh, right? And we thought, oh, this is the birthplace of the idea of Pakistan, this is where people will, be speaking Urdu and everyone will be so comfortable and all of that. As soon as we got there and had food, all the kids complained about the food. They were like, Punjabi khana nahi hai. And it was so funny. It was the UP. They had all the other connections, religion, this, that, and the rest. And when it came to that, and you were like, wow, and it literally complained. So we had to cut short our 2-day trip to Aligarh and come back to actually Delhi so they can have Punjabi food. But let me ask you, that's one of my last questions, is that you gave a very interesting narrative about how things were in the past, right? And of course there were good days and bad days, there is a whole narrative about when the mosque was being, proposed, a lot of the Sikhs and the Hindus were very uneasy about it, and the placement was an issue where we placed and all of that. But there were good bits because, they played sports together, they hung out together, they went to weddings together, some of them became lifelong friends, you were talking about Sayyid Babri, it reminds me that he was away during the partition in the US, and I asked him and said, what did you miss the most when you came back to Pakistan? And he said, I had no friends left. Because all his friends were Hindus and Sikhs. So, of course, all of that was there. What do you think the college and people associated with it now can do to at least get that ethos back? Of course, we don't have that many Hindus and Sikhs in Pakistan any longer, and especially in law. But that ethos can come back. If you could speak about that how to keep that going, what needs to be done?
Every single boy of this college, especially the ones I interviewed, has an emotional connection to the college. It is that emotional connection that brings them back here. Okay? So these families, even the 15 boys, I'm going to move here, these 15 boys are going to pass away after some time. But what is nice is that the children and grandchildren and those who already passed away, they have a great emotional connection with the college also. And they want that to deepen further. Many of these families, the children and grandchildren, have gone abroad. They are not citizens of India anymore. Now they have an opportunity for them to engage more deeply with the college. Yes, it will take some time. But what is amazing to me is most other institutions in Pakistan that had significant Hindu and Sikh presence have not maintained that identity. This place has primarily through its archives. You cannot walk around this campus, even this building or any building, without seeing the photo before 1947. It's a place that has preserved it. And now I think it's time to show off of it. I think it's a premier institution. And as the university is working to be able to enhance, and I love how the teaching and learning centers do. It is addressing an issue that is so critical for education is unless teachers are educated and start reading books rather than the phone, how are the kids going to start reading? So I think the college has a very bright future. And we need to be able to engage the alumni. And because those memories are preserved here, they can now be shared, they can be explored. And maybe even there's an archive in History Society. The two boys from Archive in History Society, will you kindly stand up, please? From the Archive in History Society, please stand up. Shalom, these boys are working at the college level to do such things. So we need to encourage them working with our boys. I think our time is up.
Yes, thank you very much. We will open it for question and answers to the audience. Thank you so much. Since one of the ways to frame the history of the college is that it was a colonial experiment and ultimately it kind of succeeded in decolonizing, I'm just curious about other colonial experiments across the subcontinent. We don't know much about them. It seems like there were other chiefs colleges, but how similar were they to Aitchison, how different, and kind of how have they evolved over time?
That's not an area of interest to people. Do you have any response to that?
Sure. So the other chiefs colleges were very similar in terms of curriculum, in terms of the boys' acting, because a lot of these states were kind of smaller ones were grouped together. So you had the Punjab ones, then you had the Rajasthan ones, then you had the Central India ones. So wherever there was, the idea was that wherever there are smaller groups of these states, you kind of create a college to nurture them, because the larger ones would refuse to send in any case white private tutors. So this was kind of what used to be called the middle tier of princes. So it was very kind of common. But on the question of sort of the colonial mode of education, one of the fascinating things which fascinated me when I read that, so I was working on the history of education in the Punjab a few years ago. And one of the very interesting thing was that a lot of the British people who came to the Punjab had very interesting modern ideas, including utilitarianism. So at that time in the 1850s and 60s, when it was a very new thing in Britain, those ideas came to Punjab very, very fast, right? And I'll give you one example of it. In 1868, Punjab said that education needs to be secular. Now that idea had not even been accepted in Britain. It took 1870 that the religious tests were abolished at Oxford and Cambridge. But the director of public instruction in the Punjab said that because he had gone to a public school and he'd seen all that and said, no, we can't have religious education, religious tests. It needs to be secular education. So the Punjab was kind of, because it was the last place that the East India Company came to, they had learned quite a bit. So for example, where you saw extreme racism in Bombay, Calcutta and Madras, where they had been there for hundreds of years, they kind of figured out you can't be an extreme racist in the Punjab and survive. They had also, and you had all these kinds of, people with modernist ideas that were coming into the Punjab. So at some level, the Punjab education is in that sense very different from the rest of India. And even if you look at school education, the curriculum that the Punjab schools had from the 1850s onwards was actually one of the best. Like I've actually yet to see anything comparable anywhere else. So it was kind of a mixed bag for the chiefs colleges that were largely the same.
I am produced in 2008. I remember, so Lahore became the Boston of India, given the universities and colleges that popped up over here, including Aitchison College in the 80s. I'm curious as to if you could talk about a bit more about the intentionality of the colleges setting up in the 1880s. What were the conversations that were happening in the 1860s and 70s, which ultimately led to the creation of the college in the 1880s, given that we also saw the popping up of Hindu ideology-backed colleges opening down the road in the 80s, college of Arya Samaj, and then we also saw the Muslim equivalent of that happening much later on. So perhaps if we can talk a bit more about how the college popped up specifically and what were the parts going on behind it. And also just a connected question is that in 1947, obviously the Hindu-backed colleges all ended up becoming either Hindu camps, and now if you go to DAV college or Arya Samaj, etc., all ruins or have been converted into migrant population key homes. So people moved in. And obviously this college was saved from that happening. Was that specifically because of the British backing that the college had, or were there any other reasons?
This institution being believed was a secure place to live in. Most other institutions that were in the hall during the partition were not as secure. But the second thing is, those institutions did not continue, right? Because people who were there left. Here, boys came back after the partition happened. The Muslim boys came back, and they, like you said, they missed their Sikh and Hindu brothers who were here. But education had to go on for them. You know, for example, I've been looking into where are the files of individual students to 1947. And in the process, we collectively found out that till 1920s, the college did not maintain a separate file for each boy. It was only in the 20 onwards. Now we are looking for those files where they are. So this is a fascinating discovery. Continuing that is happening every day. Working with the archive, we find new things that are coming out and new information. So we really find that we are rediscovering the history of Aitchison College as we go.
Let me just quickly add to what you asked. The reason those, so DAV College, Islam College and all that became camps is because they were run by trusts. So the trusts set up the camps, and therefore they were there. The only institution education that actually had a camp was FC College. Government College didn't have one, Aitchison didn't, Punjab University didn't. You know, so because they were run by Hindu and Sikh trust, they trusted that they'll take care of us. So that was the real connection. There was really no need of other educational institutions because the government had kind of fixed other places.
Thank you very much. I now call Dr. Butalia to make a special presentation that he wants to give the archives to speak about it.
This is a picture that has been in my family for 96 years. It shows my grandfather, Captain Aitchison Singh Butalia, who is sitting. You can see the familiarity with me. And with him is sitting up in This picture was taken in 1931 with the sports trophies, and you can see the Aitchison Challenge Club that is based to the middle. And if you take a chance to look at the list of the Aitchison Club that is in front of me, you will see that Hakimas Tirana won it 2 years in it. And this is a picture of them that has been in my family. Originally, we thought that the person sitting here is the Nawab of Bhawal. And so, the principal Saab showed it to his father, Kiwan showed it to a couple of people, and he agreed it was not the Nawab of Bhawal. It was not Kiwan Kiwan. And I had a chance to meet with his son, Kiwan Kiwan, who could not be with us today. But my mom is the custodian of the pictures. After my father passed away, and with a very kind permission, I have brought the original framed photograph with me and would like to present it today and donate it to the archives. So I would like to invite the principal, Karatiji, and who was the archivist to come up and receive this. This is now will be your copy. He came back on a Founders Day. So if you look at the date, exactly
So, thank you so much.
I'd like to request our principal to please stay on. And may I please request Antina and our training manager, Mr. Amar, to step forward. I'd like to request them to please present a podium to both our speakers today. First, Dr. Tarunjit Singh Butalia. Thank you so much, sir, for all the knowledge and taking the time and making. And of course, our speaker, Mr. YAQOOB Bangash. Thank you very much, sir, for being here with us today. And thank you to all our guests for being here today. We are now going to move towards tea and refreshments. Please join us and you can converse with our speakers over there as well. Thank you.